Meanwhile, a competition watchdog report confirms Rex's departure from the market is driving up airfares. Joining me live is Professor Allan Fels, former chair of the ACCC. Professor Fels, thank you for your time. Let's talk about the new report from the ACCC that shows a 13% rise in fare prices across major routes since Rex's departure. I mean, what can be done to address this? I mean, it's just the market forces.
Well, look, firstly, has always been the case that when a third airline comes in, prices go down. When it departs, they go up. Now, there are fundamental factors in the market which make this almost inevitable. That is, Qantas has got very strong market power, large market share. It's got great terminals, access rights. It's got all the business travel. It's got a lot of big contracts with big customers. It's got all those lounges. So it's quite hard for Virgin to compete. So Virgin competes to a degree. But if there's a third player nipping away at the heels of Virgin, it forces Virgin to compete more, and that brings Qantas prices down. So the departure of Rex has that flow-on adverse effect on prices.
So aside from the ACCC monitoring these airfares and us on media talking about it, what else can be done?
Well, there is the very live issue of whether Qatar is allowed to come into the market via share ownership in Virgin. There are pros and cons on that. And Qatar also seems to be funding terrorists all over the place. But from another angle, linked with Virgin, I think prices could be expected to fall. I think you'd make Virgin a much stronger competitor. They'd be trying to build market share at Qantas' expense. There'd be better links, both for Virgin travellers going overseas and vice versa. Qatar also has very good methods, technology, ways of doing business that Virgin would benefit from.
Is it possible that in the future we might see investment interest from other players in the domestic market?
Well, in the fullness of time, if Australia's population goes up, 5 or 10 million, I'm sure there would then be another big airline entrant. Short term, there are not that many signs of a big international airline coming in and competing. And then if you just set up a pure domestic airline, it does have a struggle. It would need a very big investment and commitment to be able to compete and survive against Qantas and Virgin. Rex appeared to me to be well run, but unable to really compete, even on the lucrative Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane routes.
Is it a scale thing?
Yes, scale is quite a big factor. And, if we had a much bigger market, there'd be more room for a new player. But already Qantas has maybe 2/3 of the market, Virgin another 20% odd. So there's not that much room unless a new entrant magically got big and competed really hard on price. But that's fanciful thinking.
But there's not anything that any government ministries can do to help consumers, is there?
There's not a lot. There are things at the margin that can make it a bit easier to get better slots, landing at airports, things like that. They're not going to radically transform things. Government should keep an eye on every little opportunity, but the structure of the market is just about impossible to change, and it will keep Qantas dominant, Virgin in there, but it doesn't have to compete hugely hard with Qantas as long as there's not a third player competing with it.
The status quo. Thank you so much for your time. And it's Professor Allan Fels, former chair of the ACCC.